We've got so many Cleveland Browns coaching updates to get to, folks. The Browns could make a hire today. You're not going to want to miss out on if that's the case. And I've got you covered here on the Browns Report with everything Cleveland Browns, the latest news and rumors. And I know some of you maybe haven't seen my shorts yet. I did get the haircut. Yes, it happened. First, hit that subscribe button before we get into this, though, because all of a sudden, we're only 17 subscribers away from 70,000. I can't thank you guys enough for this being very much within reach. It's totally free. Hit that sub button if you love the Browns, and I've got you covered here with daily Browns updates, totally free. Let's start with our first report from Ian Rapoport, NFL Insider, on what's going on in Cleveland. Sources say they plan to meet with Rams passing game coordinator Nate Scheelhaase early in the week, as he is among their top candidates. Scheelhaase would likely keep defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz on staff if he gets the job. That is a very positive development for the Browns, that Scheelhaase would likely keep Schwartz. This is exactly what Cleveland is trying to do. This is what they want to do. I'm going to talk about why that's best case scenario. But Albert Breer tells us that the Browns have already scheduled that second interview with Nathan Scheelhaase. And it's Monday. It's today, ladies and gentlemen. So regardless of whether LA wins or lose, this was going to happen. But now that the Rams have lost and they're out of it, the Browns could hire Scheelhaase literally later today if they love them. And the Browns are going to fly out to California to get this interview done. They're putting in the effort. And I'm really starting to like the idea of Nate Scheelhaase in Cleveland. Looking at some of his credentials, like, we know the Browns want to go young and offensive if they can help it. He's 35 years old. He's been under Sean McVay for the past 2 seasons. Worked under Matt Campbell as well from 2018 to 2023. And what's Cleveland trying to figure out right now? The quarterback situation. Well, he played quarterback at Illinois from 2010, 2013. He might have to suit up for us as well. Or hopefully he can help develop Shedeur Sanders, unleash what Sanders can be, or whoever Cleveland's quarterback is next year. So I think it's a sneaky good candidate for the Cleveland Browns. And we've heard multiple reports before that Scheelhaase and Udinski are their top 2. And here's a very interesting report from Jerry Dulac, a longtime Steelers reporter. The Steelers were very interested in him, and he said that Nate Scheelhaase had an impressive Mike Tomlin vibe of an interview. And guess what? Steelers fans, they really wanted Scheelhaase, and they're so pissed off that they got Mike McCarthy. Imagine the Browns take Nate Scheelhaase from the Steelers fan base, and he's the head coach of Cleveland next year against big old fat Mike. I mean, come on, man. It's something we could get excited about. So I'm really warming up to this idea. And like I said, if they love him in this second interview, there's nothing stopping Cleveland now from saying, hey, you're our next head coach. They could hire him today, folks. That's why you stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. Turn your notifications on, because I'm going to get live and make a video when the Browns do this and give you the best analysis. So, like I said, we've heard that Cleveland wants to hire young and keep Jim Schwartz. And honestly, I think that's best case scenario. Cleveland is the type of team that can take a swing right now. Shoot for the stars on a guy that could be the next Sean McVay, whether that's Grant Udinski, whether that's Nate Scheelhaase. Because if those guys are top candidates next year's cycle, they're not going to choose Cleveland. That's been evident in this coaching cycle with candidates backing out. And like I said, those Steelers fans are pissed right now. They did not want Mike McCarthy. They wanted a young upcoming candidate. All right, going from Mike Tomlin to Mike McCarthy doesn't really make sense. It's like the same version, 2.0 here, or Walmart version, really, I should say. And so I don't want the Browns to make that same mistake of sticking with the old. This is the time to take a swing. What do you have to lose? Because I love Jim Schwartz. I really do. He's my favorite current coordinator in the league right now. But that's my feelings. Let's think factually here for a second. We know what Jim Schwartz is. He's been a head coach before, and a lot of losing seasons. They did make one playoff season in Detroit. But let's be real here. Jim Schwartz would probably be fired in 1 to 2 years as the head coach. I think we're in for another mediocre season if he takes over. Who is he going to bring as offensive coordinator? Is he going to unleash this Browns offense? No. He is the perfect candidate to stay defensive coordinator, and we can bring in a young and upcoming star. That's the dream scenario for Cleveland. And Schwartz can advise that young candidate because, yes, he's been a head coach before. And when we've seen that I think it would just be mediocre if he was, it wouldn't be change that Cleveland needs. That's my opinion on the matter. The recipe for success is take the swing on a young guy and keep Schwartz with him. That's what I want to see in Cleveland, and I think they really are keen on doing this. Udinski could be that option for the Browns also, not necessarily Scheelhaase. The stuff I'm hearing on Grant Udinski is that he's a brilliant mind. He's young, he's determined, he's motivated. Coaches across the league love him. And if he's a top candidate in 2027, because he's already an offensive coordinator, if Udinski starts calling plays, if Udinski balls out again, the Browns won't get him next year. The Cleveland Browns are a team that has to take an early jump on a young and upcoming candidate that's maybe a year away from being a head coach. But you buy now because they will take the job now. In a year's time, if they're top candidates, they're not going to go for Cleveland. So if we could get a Udinski or Scheelhaase right now to pair with Jim Schwartz, that's perfect. Jordan Schultz has some more insight on Grant Udinski for us. One thing I keep hearing, Udinski played a very big role in Minnesota from 2022 to 2024. And there are some people within the organization who felt his absence on offense this season. The Vikings have crumbled since then, folks. I continue to hear a lot of glowing things about his trajectory. He's also a finalist in Cleveland. By the way, Udinski interviewed in Buffalo yesterday, too, so hopefully the Bills don't poach him. I don't think they will. I think they're looking at Brian Dable, quite frankly, to make a return over there. But now that the Rams have lost, now that the Browns have satisfied the Rooney Rule, I'll talk about that in the back half of the show. They could make a hire today, and they've had 2 interviews with Udinski. And I'll tell you what, I am so in on this idea of Grant Udinski and or Nate Scheelhaase. Heck, we could bring them both in, head coach, offensive coordinator, and keep Jim Schwartz at DC. That is perfect for the Browns. And look, if it doesn't work, you took the swing. I would rather, right now, Cleveland, shoot for the stars, boom bust, than go mediocre with Jim Schwartz. Like, really, I think it's best case scenario, you're like 7-9 or 7-10 next year if you hire Jim Schwartz with the offense and the state of the offense right now. I think it's time you take a swing, and we're still keeping Schwartz if we take the swing. That's why I'm so in on it. A young candidate will keep Schwartz. Like Rapoport tells us, Scheelhaase will probably do that. So I think we can get the best of both worlds here. And Sean McVay was 30 years old when he was hired. What if we're looking at the next McVay? I'm so in on this, and I love what I'm hearing about both these 2 candidates, and everybody's raving about them offensively. So you pick a candidate for me out of the ones that the Browns are considering today and this week to lead the football team. If you like Grant Udinski, type GU. If you want it to be Jim Schwartz, type JS. Nathan Scheelhaase, give me an NS. And finally, Todd Monken, the wild card, type TM in that comment section below. Coming up, we have some really interesting Browns news. It might be kind of strange, but I got to report it to you guys, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's give a special shout-out to today's sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The big game is almost here. There's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. I love this app. It's a lot of fun. I make lineups every week, and I can't watch my favorite team anymore for a while. You guys know I'm a Cleveland guy. So I need a way to stay entertained during these games and something to root for. Prize Picks helps me do that and makes all the games more entertaining. Are you missing your fantasy team? My league's already over, but with Prize Picks, I don't have to wait until next year's draft to keep playing fantasy. Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week, even in the playoffs. Prize Picks lets you play even without a draft. Pick your favorite players, win when they hit their projections, join millions of users, and sign up for America's #1 sports picks app. My lineup was so close because I had Cooper Kupp more than 1.5 receptions. That was correct. Devontae Adams more than 3.5 receptions. Also correct. But Drake May did not have more than 199.5 passing yards. I should have done a flex play where you can actually win even if one of your picks misses. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. NFL Insider Tom Pelissero gave some reports on the Browns interview process. And did you know that candidates are being asked to give a personality test? They're being asked to write an essay and given multiple homework assignments to writing why they should be the Browns head coach. I mean, this is a very thorough process. And credit the Browns for putting in all this research, but like no other teams do this. It's no wonder that multiple candidates are backing out of this race, right? Like Jesse Minter felt like he had another opportunity in Baltimore. He's like, I'm not going to go to Cleveland and do all this work. And lo and behold, he is now the Ravens head coach. Mike McDaniel, same situation. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to put all this work in for the Browns. So no wonder coaches are backing out. But fair enough. You know, I do want a candidate that says, yeah, I want to go all in for the Browns. And that's why these young, determined guys are where Cleveland not only wants to go, but they have to go. Those are the guys that will take this big promotion from OC or pass game specialist, where they are right now, to get paid a lot more and make a name for themselves. And who knows, maybe even turn around our Browns franchise. Tom Pelissero also reports that DePodesta, when he was here, created this very analytical approach that the Cleveland Browns have been following ever since. It's very data-driven, and Cleveland is still using it. Again, no other team does this. This is such a unique thing. Only the Browns. No other team is doing all of this stuff. And, you know, we've had this conversation a lot on the show. Sometimes I just wish they would be a normal team. Sometimes I wish we'd just be all about football. Not the data, not the analytics, not the Ivy League guys, but this is what Cleveland does, and this is what they're looking for in their new candidates also, is the very smart, analytical guys. What I'm hearing about Grant Udinski is that he is just all ball. He's a football guy. That's what Liam Cohen, the Jaguars' current head coach, said about him, and I really like the sound of that. For Cleveland, we need some guys that just know ball in this organization. I mean, it's such a shame. Culture and organization is a massive part of team success. The Patriots are able to fast track one of the fastest rebuilds I've ever seen because that culture, that organization, that owner knows winning. The Seahawks have been in the Super Bowl multiple times in my lifetime. The Rams multiple times now as well, getting close to the Super Bowl and or making it and winning it. Like culture and organization. And the Browns, it's just so hard for them to figure this stuff out. So let's see if they can do it here with our new head coach. Speaking of organization problems, guess what? Among those involved in the Browns head coach search, former Chargers and Raiders GM Tom Pelissero has been serving as a consultant and helping the Browns in their process to find a head coach. I'm told he has been in meetings with the in-person candidates. We're recruiting Tom Pelissero, guy who's been fired twice as a GM, got fired by the Raiders. And listen, Telesco's not the worst. Like, he's had some winning seasons when he was in the Chargers organization. Telesco, he kind of learned how as he went. He was very aggressive with the Chargers, signed a bunch of players. Then he was very conservative when he was a Raider and was trying to, I guess, overcompensate for how aggressive he was before. You know, I heard Antonio Pierce wanted to trade up for Jaden Daniels, and Telesco was like, nah, we're good. Let's get Gardner Minshew. And we're asking that guy for advice on a team that is still trying to figure out their quarterback forever and ever. I guess an extra voice doesn't hurt, but this is probably a big reason why the Browns were able to complete the quote-unquote secret interview with Anthony Lynn the other night. That's right. The Browns flew to Florida to interview Anthony Lynn in person for his first interview. So the Browns officially have satisfied the Rooney Rule. They can make a hire in person today if they want to, right after they interview Scheelhaase, who would be their second minority candidate. And like I said, if they love Scheelhaase, he might get this job on the spot, folks. Or we'll call back up Udinski, or knowing how thorough the Browns are. Maybe there's third interviews for these guys this week. You know, Scheelhaase might have to do his homework first. Let's see. But that is where the Cleveland Browns are trending right now. And, you know, maybe Lynn becomes the offensive coordinator candidate, right? He's a running backs coach. By the way, I got a bunch of slack for saying that Anthony Lynn was atrocious as a head coach. He was an awful decision maker when he was in charge of those Chargers teams. He was stunting Justin Herbert's growth as well. Now, hindsight 2020, Justin Herbert still has had no playoff success. So this year, Herbert has no excuse with Jim Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel. All right, but Anthony Lynn was a problem back then. Same record as Mike McDaniel as a head coach, by the way. But perhaps he's an OC candidate for the Browns. I'll talk about that in the future. He was also the Browns running back coach way back when. Let's get a prediction in here because this may be the last moment of your life that you can predict who will be the Browns head coach in 2026. This hire could be coming today, tomorrow, this week, I would imagine. Comment below the name you think the Browns will hire. So I asked you who you want earlier. Who do you think it'll be? Comment down below. Maybe it's the same person. You let me know in the comment section. While you're down there, find my social links. Give me a follow on X/Twitter at Joey070. Shout out all the Browns fans that followed me on the last episode. Helped out a lot. I'm going to be tweeting so many Browns updates on there every day. Also, lots of highlights on Instagram and TikTok. Browns Report IG, Joey Brown. Here's all the socials. Hit me up. There's Joey070. And as always, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we're literally like 17 subs away from 70,000. Appreciate you all so much. I really hope this next coach can turn things around for the Browns. I'll be with you every game, every step of the way, Browns fans. So hit the sub button. Enjoy this offseason. I'll see you next time.